Assalamu alaikum. Today's lecture is about the community based rehabilitation. As our subject is human growth and community based rehabilitation. So, we have covered the first portion that was comprised of human growth and development. The second portion of our subject is about the community based rehabilitation. What is community based rehabilitation? The title sends in a brain ke we have to deal with the community in different perspective for the betterment, for prevention of some diseases and for the treatment of some diseases, and to understand the details of a community, that what a physical therapist must do or could do in a community, what is the community requirements. All right, so starting our lecture with the having an understanding about handicap and community. What are the people called handicap? Having some kind of, you can say, disability, having some kind of disease that impair their functional, you can say, activities and all the essentials of life. So, handicap and the community. What does disability do? First of all, what is disability? Disability is the end result of any disease that compromise your daily livings, that compromise the functional life of an individual. So, disability prevents subjects from being independent. And the result of disability is that it turn an healthy individual to an dependent individual. All right, the person is no more independent. He or she depend on some attendant to guide his activities, to take care of his essentials, to maintain his life and all that thing. He cannot eat, maybe he cannot see, maybe he cannot walk. So these are some categories of disabilities depending upon the uh, organ system involved. Then disabled person are addressed differently abled person. It is very good, you can say, terminology for them, as disability handicap is something like hurting words. So sociologists and other community workers decide a word that is differently able or special person for these disabled person. Differently able, that if they have a limited capability of one thing, they have certain, you can say, enhanced capability of other things, so differently abled. Then primary disabilities. What are primary disabilities? The disabilities that are direct consequences of a disease. For example, someone got an spinal cord trauma at the lower limbar level and he is no more able to walk. So that is the primary disability. You got injury, you get into disability. All right. Then similarly, the stroke, if person is having a right hemisphere stroke, he will have a left body, maybe hemiplegia or other, you can say, consequences of stroke. Then talking about secondary disabilities. S- matlab, you can have an idea after reading the word secondary disabilities. These are those disabilities which did not exist at the onset of primary disability but developed subsequently. All right. For example, you are no more able to walk because of your spinal cord trauma, but after certain time your muscles will start losing the strength, and once they start losing the strength, the contracture rate will double and triple. Even the loss of muscle fiber, that is type 1 type 2 muscle fibers, will lose so rapidly. So that is the secondary disabilities, and ultimately your joints will be affected. Your joints will get contractures, intra-articular contractures, then tight muscles, that is, you can say, extra-articular problems. So these are multiple concepts about primary or secondary disabilities we will discuss later. Then what is handicap? As we have already learned this world in earlier semesters, that handicap is the next, you can say, stage of disability. If someone has a disability, he don't treat that well, he don't get the treatment that is required to treat the disability, ultimately he will get into a state that is termed as handicap. So, disadvantage for a given individual in his or her social context that limit or prevent the fulfillment of a role that is normal to an individual. Disability was not much concerned about the social aspect, but being an handicap is 100% concerned about the social aspect. The person is no longer to, you can say, use computer. Why? He has a disability, he cannot use his right arm or a right hand. So fulfillment of role will be compromised. Then any restriction or lack of ability to perform an activity in the manner normal to an individual, like I am a normal human being, I can stand, I can sit, I can go there, pick some object, I can use laptop, I can deliver lecture. But what, khuda na khasta, if someone is having blindness, okay, he is blind, handicapped by eyes, so he will no longer to he will not able to see the slides, not able to use the laptop, maybe. So it is the form of handicap when the person is no more able to perform the activities of daily living. All right. Then being an handicap can be of physical, cognitive, mental, sensory, emotional, or combinations are noted. What if we talk about being a physical handicap? Person use crutches, use frame to walk. He's no longer to climb the stairs. So it is physical handicap. You can judge the person by visually seeing him ke, yaar, he cannot walk. Then what is cognitive? A person cannot, you can say, memorize what have done in the past. He don't know his mother, he don't know his father, his siblings, and his job routine, etc., etc. That is a type of cognitive handicap. Then what is mental? A person is suffering from a mental disorder, for example bipolar disorder. Person is behaving like a child at a time and older man at a time, so bipolar disorder. Then sensory, I touch a hot pan. That is hot. I know that is hot. I just put my hand back. But what if someone is having a sensory disability or being an handicapped by sensory abilities? He will not justify कि the pan is hot or cold. Maybe he will not put his hand back because he don't have senses that the pan is cold. Then emotional and combinations are noted. Maybe physical or cognitive present in combination, sensory or physical present in combination, or any other form. So let's move to the next slide. Disability limitation. So I was talking about disease in the very first slide, that disease makes a person to get disabled and in later stages handicap. So this is a chart, it is very important, you can say flow chart, that whenever a person get a disease, he or she will develop an impairment. For example, if we talk about our GI system, a person get pyloric sphincter inflammation. Okay, it's a disease that affects the pyloric part of your stomach. A person, whatever he or she eat, he just vomit out, or the pain in the stomach, pain in the belly, he couldn't eat, he could not, you can say, digest the food. So an impairment developed that the person cannot digest the food, that is the impairment. Okay, then talking about the disability, the person will no longer person will not be able to eat roti, you can say spices, so that would develop into a disability. And ultimately ng will be passed to the person to treat him and to feed him. So डिपेंडेंसी जब भी डेवलप होती है तो वो हैंडीकैप और डिसेबिलिटी को आप फॉर एग्जांपल अगर मैं डिसेबिलिटी की एग्जांपल लूं, A person is having pylori sphincter inflammation, he is having omeprazole and metelium for the treatment, so the person is dependent on what? Medicines. So it is a disability. Okay. Then the most important thing is rehabilitation. As community based rehabilitation is the portion we are going to cover in the post mid syllabus. Rehabilitation is much concerned with physical therapists, with psychologists, with nurses, with other healthcare providers, and it is a very important role of any healthcare provider. Rehabilitation. Rehabilitation enhance and restore functional ability and quality of life to those with physical impairments or disabilities. It is very, you can say, fine definition of rehabilitation that cover the essential aspect of the rehabilitation purpose: enhance the functional ability, restore the functional ability, improve the quality of life, and deal with the person having physical impairments or disabilities. These are four components of a rehabilitation. We must consider them whenever we have to plan a rehabilitation program. Then, talking about rehabilitation, rehabilitation is divided into three stages. You must be aware of this term: primary prevention, secondary prevention, and tertiary prevention, because we have learned it well in the uh, community medicine, I guess, in sixth semester maybe, or seventh semester. Primary prevention, secondary prevention, and tertiary prevention. It is very important short question. It is important for MCQ point of view, and it is also very important as a research for research purpose. All right. And the goal of all these mode of prevention is to add life to years, not years to life. Life to years, what does it mean? That if Allah Pak has blessed you with 85 years of age, but you cannot walk, then what's the purpose of this age? So, a physical therapist or a rehabilitation team work for that person having the age of 85 or more to get life into his age. Okay, it's not years to life like I have, you can say कि wasted life नहीं हो, एक healthy life हो. So it's a diagram. It's very, you can say, cool diagram. Primary prevention, secondary prevention. You can say a person is standing there. Store water is rough and dangerous. Yeah, I should mention this. A person is standing there. Stop. He is stopping other individuals. Stop. Water is running and it is dangerous. All right. It is primary prevention. Just a minute. I am holding my mic.